Hey everyone, it's Tom Crowdson with another Rockstar Minute. This has been an insane week for headlines. So this week, the banks in Canada announced awesome profits, big profits, so I'm sure they're all happy. The Bank of Canada also came out and said they're not going to move interest rates, which means the overnight lending rate from the Bank of Canada has been 1% or lower. Right now it's 0.5% since 2008. So almost 10 years, the overnight lending rate from the Bank of Canada has been at 1% or lower for almost a decade. And because of the 15% foreign buyers tax in the greater Toronto, Hamilton area, it looks like that really had the intended effect. If you're not aware, in places like Oakville, the homes that were selling for 1.8 million like hotcakes just 2 weeks ago, now there's like no offers, no one's coming to see them. So I'm sure in the next month or two that will change a little bit, but it really did have an effect. And just as a point of note, we're noticing in the starter home segment, we're still seeing some activity, and that goes to our point that starter homes in good times or in bad times always have the most activity. So that's just an interesting note to us. But in the $1.8, $2 million price range in a place like Oakville, it just went from mayhem to zero almost overnight. So all that's happening, and it's prompted a lot of questions in here at Rockstar saying, are we closer to like some sort of crisis? Or is this just like a little bit of a plateau and prices just kind of continue to trend upwards? And the most fascinating thing about this discussion for us is that during this time, over 10 years of low interest rates, we've made no big changes. In fact, this headline, I know you can't really read the headline, so I'm going to read it out to you. From the Financial Post, just came out yesterday. It says the Trudeau Liberals make history for the highest per person spending outside of a war or recession. So our government that tells Canadians to watch your debt and don't spend too much money continues to pile on the debt. In fact, they set a record for spending outside a war or recession. So now we're in this awesome situation where if we do hit a crisis, what is the government going to do? Interest rates are so low already. Debt is so high already in the government. If interest rates rise just a little bit, how are they going to handle those debt payments? So there's really no room to play there. So we think when a crisis does hit, the answer to them is either going to be let the chips fall where they may, which we don't think the government's going to do. They're going to want to act, or they act right now to make structural changes in the economy, tax reforms, and different trade reforms to try to change the economy as it sits right now. Or the third thing, which is the likely thing we think they're going to do, is when a crisis hits, they're just going to make easy money available. They're just going to make interest rates lower and make even access to credit easier to try to spur the economy. And if interest rates are already so low, are we headed towards negative territory? Or are we going to have like high inflation and low rates at that same time? It's just a fascinating time. So no structural changes, more debt has been loaded on, kind of tying the hands of what they can do. So with what we believe right now is there could be a crisis, and then the policy response from the government will try to push prices higher in things like hard assets, like good properties. So we think over the next 10 years, and we don't even agree with this, but over the next 10 years, we think there is a realistic probability. Again, I want to be clear, we don't even agree with this, but there is a realistic probability that prices double from here, because the policy response from the government, the only thing they have is to make easy money available. So, I mean, this is fascinating times. We are a generation that is stuck between preparing for a financial crisis while at the same time planning for hard assets to double from here. I mean, it's like everybody's handcuffed, and that's the cards that we've dealt, and we have to play them accordingly. So we have more to say about this, but hopefully that gives you something to think about today. Until next time, your life, your terms. Hey everyone, are we good?
Yeah.
Now.